Hello, everybody. This is XB Walker coming at you, and today we're going to be talking about a subject that I feel that I actually have enough knowledge about to speak on. And that is, what does it take to lead a mega clan or a mega guild or organization or whatever your gaming group happens to be? I do have a lot of experience in this area. I ran over 20,000 members at the peak of my organization, which I'll talk about in just a moment here. And after I talk about that, I'll give you guys some pointers on running a large clan. We'll just call it a clan so that I don't have to keep correcting myself throughout the video. And you can decide to take this advice, not take this advice, or even if it's a good idea to try to run a large organization. Because let me tell you, it is not easy and it's extremely time consuming. So let's jump right into it. Some of my history, I started back in 2000. The year 2000 is when I really started playing PC gaming online with other people. 2000 was roughly the time that ADSL started to become a thing, and at the time that was considered broadband. It was very fast compared to dial-up, and so online gaming sort of exploded from that point. You know, you get games like the games I really loved to play were Mech Commander, Mech Commander Gold. I was a big fan of the BattleTech universe because I'd read a lot of the books. Team Fortress Classic was another one. Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, all these really cool games that were built with a multiplayer aspect in mind, and it was the first generation of gamers that could really multiplay, could really enjoy playing with other people without having to go to their house and have a LAN party, something that's almost completely lost to history at this point. But back in the day, LAN parties were a big deal. Anyway, my first group was, I think it was called the Green Vipers, because the Gold Vipers were taken, sadly. It was me. I was 13 or 14 years old, I think. 2000? No, I was 15. And most of the guys in my quote-unquote clan were younger than me. And we were just a bunch of noobs, bunch of losers who really sucked at the game, but we liked hanging out. That was the first taste that I got of leadership, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know why. I like to say I have charisma when I have to. When I'm excited about something, I can get other people on board with me. But I think that every leader has some sort of deep ingrained need for approval, for other people to say, you're doing a good job, or we really like you. You look at podcasters, you look at people who do videos online, things like that. These people would probably, if they could admit it, they would tell you, yeah, they like the approval of others. I think that was my reasoning behind it originally. Anyway, fast forward to 2003. I started playing a game called Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. This was originally planned to be an expansion onto Wolfenstein. I think it was called Return to Castle Wolfenstein, if I recall. And Wolfenstein Enemy Territory was a free expansion that was released as a full game. This was back before free-to-play games where there were pay-to-win schemes within them, or this was after the time of shareware. So at the time, this was this amazing first-person shooter that everyone could play for free without paying a penny. And so naturally, at 2003, so I was about 17 years old. So early 2003, I founded a clan. I originally joined a clan in the game. I was with that clan for a few months, but their leader decided to end it, and he went off in pursuit of other things. I took the 5 or 6 members from that clan and created my own, which became Alliance of Gamers. Some of you listening might recall that name, Alliance of Gamers, from about 2004 to 2009. We were actually the largest gaming group on the internet. We reached a peak of about 20,000 members. I would say about 1,000 of those were core players, as in people who logged on every single day, and about 500 of those were the hardcore players who I knew by name. I had a leadership structure of about, I want to say 30 or 40 different leaders of different ranks. We were set up with a military ranking system, and I'll get into all that later on with the point-by-point analysis. But to make a really long story short, I'll tell you that we got very big. We were at a point where we had a corporate tax ID. We had bumper stickers. We had shirts. I mean, we had members wearing shirts with our logo on them. We went to all the gaming conventions that we could because we had members all over the world in virtually every state in the United States as well. We also went to the early versions of esports. Esports were just becoming a thing in the early 2000s. They weren't really in their height of popularity that they are now. And yeah, we were big. I mean, we were doing great. We expanded to something like 12 different servers. Everyone was donating to help out with the servers. Well, not everyone, but the people who could. And there was a point at which we were bringing in so much money from donations from members for our many different servers that I put a call out to the group and said, hey, can I start to take a salary from this? Because this is taking most of my day every day to run this. And most people said, yeah, no problem. We all agreed. And for a while there, I was actually getting paid to lead this huge gaming organization. And it wasn't a lot of money. For those of you wondering if you can make a profit leading a large clan, I would say not really, unless you're looking for, less than $1,000 a month, and that's good enough for you. But anyway, we expanded into games like Age of Conan, EVE Online, Battlefield 2 at the time was a big deal. And of course, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory was our primary staple game. And for a while there, things were good. About 2000, I want to say 2010, 2011. It's all on the website, which I'll link in the description. But in about 2009, 2010, I believe it was, I ended up shutting down Alliance of Gamers, mainly because we had lowered our age limit. We brought in a lot of players because I started to get thirsty for more people. I just wanted as many people as possible. To me, numbers were everything. And we lowered our age limit, pretty much removed it, and that killed us. Lowering the maturity level, there were flame wars. It got out of hand. I ended up closing Alliance of Gamers. I disappeared for a couple years. I just stopped playing games altogether. I just totally got burnt out on it. And came back in 2012, played single-player games for a few years, and then in 2016 I founded a new group called the Gorgonites. We're basically a small version of what Alliance of Gamers was. I'm not going to sit here and spam who the Gorgonites are and try to get you to join, but I'll just tell you that I've been through a lot of different stages. I went from being a nobody to being an extremely popular person who was even getting paid to play games with other people, to being a nobody again, and now I'm at a point where I just have a group of online friends. We have fun, and our group is very slowly growing, but growing in a good way. So anyway, that's sort of a preface of my history with leading large gaming guilds, and you're welcome to ask me any questions in the comments if you want. I've led 1,000-member guilds in Age of Conan. EVE Online wasn't as big, but we had a large presence there, and a couple other games. Old Republic Online, I think we had a large group there. So feel free to ask me questions if you have any. But I'm going to get right into the questions, the point-by-point analysis on what does it take to be a leader of a large clan. Number one, obsession. I'm talking absolute obsession with the game that you are playing or that your organization is playing. And it is my personal opinion that your organization should be, or your clan, I said I was going to call it clan, didn't I? Your clan should be focused around a very central game. Yes, you can play many other games, but there should be one game that your group is focused on and that you start your recruitment process from. Because I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're not loaded up with members. You're looking to grow your group from a low number of people. I suggest you get obsessed with whatever game you plan to recruit from, and you go all in and spend a lot of time in that game. Number 2 on my list is keep a cool head. This is extremely important if you're leading a large group, because when you have a large group of people, there are many different facets of personalities. You've got your really cynical type who everything they say sounds like they're angry and mad, but they're not. It's just the way they talk. You've got your really goofy kind who just joke around and can never seem to take anything seriously. You have your quiet types. You have your very outgoing types. And somehow you as a leader are supposed to bring all these different personalities together and hone them into a working team that gets along with each other. There's going to be times where members have arguments. And something I always tell my members is, if you have a problem with this person, if you're upset with them, take it to private chat, have a chat with them. If it still isn't being resolved, then you take it to me or the leadership, and we will try to mediate and figure out the problem. I think this is a great approach. This was my approach in the past. It worked out pretty well. So it's totally up to you, but I definitely recommend that you keep a cool head in all situations. If a member starts insulting you, starts ripping on you, saying you're a bad leader, blah, 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 don't take it personally. Just let it roll off you, because if you're thin-skinned, leading a large clan, very bad idea. Don't do it. In fact, don't really lead anything if you're thin-skinned, if you're easily insulted. Number 3 on this list, people management. Now, as your group grows, you're not going to be able to do everything on your own. When it's, 20, 30, maybe even 100 people, you could probably run most parts of your group by yourself. But there's going to be a point at which you have so many members that there's no way you can handle everything. So you need to set up a command structure. For Alliance of Gamers, our command structure was actually based on a United States Army command structure. We had general, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, lieutenant colonel. We had something like 40 different ranks. It was almost as bad as the pay ranks in the Army. There were many different ranks, but for me, it worked out really well because it gave people a sense of accomplishment when they were promoted. And with so many ranks, you could promote people fairly frequently, so you kind of kept that reward system going. I'm going to talk about that on the next point, which is number 4, internal promotion and incentives. Like I said, with AOG, we had a U.S. Army ranking system, and it worked really well for us because most of our members were young men. I would say ages 18 through 21. And so at that age, guys, we have a built-in dopamine response where we want to be rewarded for trying hard at something. That's why if you've ever seen the South Park episode about microtransactions and mobile games and how geared they are towards people who have addictions to gambling or people who have this need for dopamine response, where you're constantly being rewarded for clicking on something or pressing on something. Well, the same thing worked for internal promotion. Giving someone a promotion every few months, or if they did a really good job promoting them early, was a huge feeling of accomplishment for them. And so everyone was constantly chasing that next promotion. And the way they got promoted was helping other people in the group, being present and active during gaming, any number of different things. It wasn't just promotion for being there. So I definitely recommend some sort of command structure if you want to run a successful group. Okay, on to number 5. Number 5 is constant external promotion. Now, this is a different description of the word promotion, meaning put your name everywhere. Get to the forums of whatever game you're playing, make a YouTube channel, make a Twitch channel, and be streaming games all the time. Or in our case, we had bumper stickers, we had shirts, but that's only because we got so big that we could afford to do that. You don't need to start with those things because those things cost money. But forums, YouTubes, and Twitch, that's all free. That's all easy to do. Get yourself someone who's good at podcasting or someone who's good at making videos and set them up as your media liaison. It almost sounds like I'm talking about someone for something for a corporation, I realize. Like I said, corporations and large gaming clans are not so dissimilar aside from the pay scheme. So definitely promote yourself, and you as a leader are the only one really that's going to be excited enough to want to promote yourself. So it's not other people's job unless they volunteer. It's really your job to get out there and constantly promote your brand or your group or whatever you want to call it. Number 6 in the list, keep your community engaged. This means events, meetings, forum posts, Discord discussions, just anything to get your people talking, to get your people communicating and working together. You can't just expect your large group to just keep getting larger because there's people in it. People like to feel like they're doing something. They like to be busy. They like to have something to accomplish. Now, internal promotion is part of that, but setting up events for your group, setting up playtimes, those are all very important too, because it's part of making your group feel like a family. Because at this size, they have to feel some sort of personal connection to the group that they're in. So keep them engaged. Number 7, and this is the last of my items on what it takes to make a large clan. Number 7 is internal media. That means podcasts, videos, and interviews with developers if you're big enough. things that maybe your group only has access to, the outside world does not. So outsiders say, hey, if we join Group A, XB's Super Mega Awesome Clan, we can actually get interviews with, or we can read interviews that XB had with the developers of certain games that have never been released on YouTube or they've never been seen anywhere else. We get these exclusive perks to being in this group. For example, we were so large at some point that, or at one point that developers of upcoming games would contact me and say, hey, I know you've got a very large group of gamers. We'd like to use them to test out our game. How many gamers can you provide us? I'd say, 200 guys today. We can get on there, test it out, and give you feedback on how the game is. So we would actually get to play some of these games. There was one, I think it was called War Robots. Not the mobile game, but it was this earlier version of it. It was actually pretty fun. It was like a arena-based game before esports was a thing. We all jumped on it in one day and tested it out, and the developers showed up. It was really cool. We got to test out a few MMOs. I won't mention them. But definitely getting your guys unique perks that are not available outside of your group. That's a big bonus. Now, we're going to move on to section 2, which I'm happy to say is a little bit shorter. It's called Things Not to Do. So, things not to do. Number 1, please do not stoke flame wars. You're going to get guys fighting. It happens. People have disagreements. You're going to get this stuff that this is going to happen. It is your job as a leader to either stop it from happening or don't let it spread. Like I said earlier, keep a cool head. You need to help your members work out their issues. I always encourage people to go one-on-one with their issues. When you're speaking one-on-one to someone with a disagreement that you have with them, it sort of diffuses the situation because it makes it personal. It's easy to hate someone when you never actually talk to them. It's easy to hate them from a distance, but when you have to sit in the same room with them face to face and hash out your problems, it very quickly becomes more personal, and usually the problem is resolved. So again, do not stoke the flame wars that happen if you have a forum or a Discord or whatever. It's your job to stop those things from happening. Number 2, and this is sad to say, don't disappear. You could take a 1-week vacation, you have a life too, I'm sure, but you have to be obsessed. Like point number 1 in the first area, you have to be obsessed with your members, with the game. This is the difference between running a clan of 20 or 30 people and running a clan of 200 or 300 people or 2,000 or 3,000 people. You have to be the most obsessed, which means you have to be there. You have to physically be there. Yes, you can have leadership that can keep things going while you're gone, but I strongly recommend you don't be gone for too long at any given time, because if your clan was anything like mine and it was sort of based around the leader of the group, then what the leader does and says will ultimately determine how the group does. So, or how the group's health and vitality is. So, if you disappear for a long time, your clan will quickly fizzle out, and you'll come back and half the people are gone. So, yeah, stay obsessed. Number 3 on the list, you cannot please everyone. You just can't. You're essentially a benevolent dictator, meaning you have final say in things. It's important to listen to your leaders, of course, but you have the final say, and it's going to make somebody upset, and it's going to make a lot of people happy. The whole focus should be, how can I keep the most of this guild focused and happy? If you upset 2 or 3 people, it sucks, but so be it. You're never going to make everybody happy. And if you're the kind of person that just hates to disappoint people, hates to make people upset, you're going to have some serious issues. So put on that thick skin and get ready to upset some people. Number 4, last on my list, do not share your frustrations with others. This is a hard thing. This was one of the hardest things for me as a leader. Was I kind of was alone. I was surrounded by thousands of people, but I was alone, because I knew that if I started whining and complaining about the problems within my clan, the clan would quickly start to fall apart. And it did, actually. That was one of the things that killed the clan, is when we lowered the age limit, I started complaining about how immature things were getting. My members started to get disgruntled because they agreed with me. Things were getting immature, things were getting dumb, and they started to just bleed off. And pretty soon, we went from 20,000 members to maybe a couple hundred members. And it was at that point that I ended up closing things down. But if you do share your frustrations, make sure it's in one or two very close confidants within the clan. The less exposure the clan has to any sort of negative emotions or negative feelings from you, the better. Anyway, that's all I have for now. That's my entire list. I I turned off the air conditioning in my house so that you wouldn't have to hear the air conditioning. So I live in Las Vegas, and in the, I don't know, what is it, 20 minutes this took? Yeah, 20 minutes almost exactly. It's raised about 5 degrees in my house, and I'm dying. So that's it for me for this video. I'm going to go turn on the air conditioning and hopefully not die. And I will see you guys at the next video. The next videos will, of course, be more focused on games. This is sort of a sidetrack from what I normally would be talking about. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments, or of course you can visit gorgonites.com, which is the small group that I run now, and you can ask us questions on our Discord server. Thanks a lot, guys.